I'm Lisa from Jamele Skincare, and this is Elizabeth, and she's going to be my lovely model for today. And basically what we're going to get out of today is how to pick and apply the perfect base using the Jane Iredale makeup. You'll notice in Jane Iredale we have quite a few foundations. We've got two liquids, one that a lot of people will look at and think, what are all those funny little beads? So this one is our anti-aging. It has no SPF as such. But in between these little balls that we see, the coloured balls in there, that's actually your mineral pigment. So mainly what they're made up of is your titanium dioxide and your zinc oxide. So zinc oxide and titanium, it's very calming, healing for the skin, and it also helps to take down any inflammation and redness. But it also helps to protect us against the sun. So it's lovely to actually have a nice pure makeup that's all pure minerals, but it's actually protecting us from the sun as well. Your Jane Iredale is actually recommended by the Skin Cancer Society as well. And in between these little coloured balls is actually hyaluronic acid in there. So that's your plumping effect. So it plumps out fine lines and wrinkles and holds 1,000 times its weight in water. So it's a really powerful humectant and great for anti-aging. And also our vitamin C in there. So this helps to stimulate our collagen and elastin fibres, and that's what keeps our skin intact. So it's a lovely little one for an anti-aging foundation. So our next liquid that we have is our BB cream. Now this is our new member to the family, and this one builds a medium to heavy coverage. It is absolutely beautiful. It's a very big tube. You need half the size of a pea and it goes a very long way. But this one, it's a lot thicker consistency, so it's more of adds a protective barrier, and I think of it having that thicker consistency is beautiful for in this kind of weather where we're a little bit cooler or we're going into the heat as well, and it just acts like another skin layer against going in and out of those air cons all day. We've just got a little bit more barrier support, especially in Tauranga. In general we find we've got a lot of high colour and high redness come through, so it's beautiful for that. A lot of these colours you'll find they're yellow tones, so they do help to counteract any redness in the skin as well, which is beautiful. And this one also has an SPF of 25 in there, which is fantastic again to have that SPF in there. You'll find it's got a lot more of your bee pollen in there too, which is a lovely antioxidant and a humectant as well. So it draws that moisture to your skin again throughout the day, and also your titanium dioxide and zinc oxide in there as well. So very calming, anti-inflammatory and healing to the skin. So this is a lovely one to be using as well. So these are our mineral powder foundations. So here you'll find these ones are both called Golden Glow. But the way that they bind the pressed powder is by pine bark extract. Now this actually makes it a shade lighter than what your loose is. So although you may be your Golden Glow in your loose powder, you may be more of a warm sienna, you may be a darker colour in your pressed powder. So basically your powder foundations, they're fantastic for finishing over a liquid makeup, but they're actually a complete makeup in themselves as well. Now a lot of people will say that they don't like a powder foundation because it sits in the lines or accentuates the lines. But with these, they're all pure minerals. There's no cheap fillers in there like your talc, so they sit beautifully on the skin. They let your natural colour come through. And with makeup, it's not about masking your skin, it's about enhancing your natural features. So the Jane Iredale mineral makeup does that beautifully. So here we have our loose foundation, Golden Glow. So this one you'll find it gives us a lot more of a dewier feel. So this is lovely for our mature clients, whereas you find the pressed powder, a lot of our younger clients seem to love this one. And the mothers love this one as well, because the loose powder, we find that you get too much in the lid and the teenagers get it all over the sink and everywhere, so this is just a lot easier for them. And I also have a pressed powder in my handbag always, so if we need to touch up throughout the day, or if we're at the beach because it has that SPF in there, we can quickly dust some over, which is fantastic. And these are our mineral powders. So our lightest coverage in the Jane Iredale range is our Dream Tint. Now this one also has an SPF of 15, so it's a great one to take to the beach as well. When you're at the beach, pop some of this on. It's giving you a little bit of colour, it's protecting you from the sun. It's great for any acne as well. Its main ingredient is your alga extract. Now your alga extract is the sea marine. It's very conditioning, hydrating to the skin. It's a great humectant. It's also antibacterial and antimicrobial. So any acne that's going on or any cross infection, it's going to help to heal that. It's going to be wonderful. So this is a great way to go. And this one you'll find it builds a light to medium coverage. So it's nice to just pop some of this on to make sure you've got something on your skin. So next we have our primers in the Jane Iredale range. Now this is one of my favourites. This one's called Smooth Affair Primer. Basically this one, what it does is it has a lot of luminising colours in there. Now a lot of people find that they will skip primers or they won't know how to use primers or why do we use primers. Now the reason why we use primers is basically to get our makeup to sit a lot nicer. If you find that you have dry areas throughout the day that your makeup just seems to sit, or your makeup is constantly slipping throughout the day and not staying on the skin, or you find that you just haven't got that light coming through your foundation and you find that it's not sitting how you'd really want it to, that's when a primer will come in. So basically what this one does is it gives a nice hydrated glow come through first, hydrating the skin, giving those luminising colours, which just brings light through our foundation and makes it sit beautifully. Your main ingredient here is actually your bee pollen extract. So it's a great humectant, it's a wonderful antioxidant, so it's actually really hydrating, nourishing, anti-aging to the skin before you even put your foundation on, which is fantastic. So this is one of my favourites, the Smooth Affair Primer in Jane Iredale. So next primer we have in the Jane Iredale range is called our Absence Primer. Now this one you'll find it's a lot better for pore minimising, so if you find you have the enlarged pores, or if you find that you get a lot of oil flow throughout the day, that's when the Absence Primer is beautiful. What this one does is you'll pop it on, you only need the tiniest amount, I stress the tiniest amount, so half a little tiny quarter of a pea, and then you apply this one with a brush all over, or just in the areas where you find you get a little bit more oil flow, or the bigger pores. This one you'll find it will settle to a powder, so that's how it absorbs some of the oil in there as well. So this one's lovely for the acne clients as well, or just if you find that your makeup doesn't sit throughout the day or your pores are a lot more enlarged when you apply your makeup, using a primer is a really good idea. So this is the Absence Primer in the Jane Iredale range. So now I'm going to show you how to achieve the perfect base using Elizabeth here as my model. So what we really want to find out first is what kind of coverage we're wanting to achieve. If there's any oil flow, how does Elizabeth's makeup sit? So how do you find your makeup's going at the moment, Elizabeth?
It's going quite good. I do get a little bit of an oil flow happening, so I want to help that, and also I like a medium coverage.
Medium coverage? Wonderful. So that's given us a good base to go with. So what I'm going to use today for Elizabeth is we're actually going to use the BB cream. So I'm going to use a little bit of our Absence Primer first because Elizabeth has said she has a little bit of an oil flow come through. And usually with an oil flow you'll find you'll get a little bit of open pores there too. So what we want to do when we've chosen our Absence Primer is scrape off the tiniest little amount. So that's all we're going to need for the full face. Honestly, it goes such a long way. And I work from the back of my hand. It ends up like a makeup artist palette. So you just get a tiny bit, and I'm using the foundation brush today. This one, the bristles are a lot more compact together, so it gives you a lot more control on what you're doing. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the areas where we are getting a little bit more oil flow. So we're just going to come through these T-zones, through the cheek and nose area, and just downward strokes, and just blend that through. Through the forehead area. So this is just going to make our foundation sit a lot nicer and stay throughout the day, because when you've got that oil flow you are going to find that there's going to be a little bit of slipping of the foundation. With the minerals, they're beautiful. That's one thing that I can say is they don't tend to slip as much as a lot of foundations do, because what minerals do is they actually adhere to the skin. So that's a good reason why I use a brush as well before I put my foundation on, because minerals adhere to the skin, you'll find if you're using your hands, they're adhering to the skin on your fingers. So using a brush, these brushes are all hand tied and real hair, so they actually disperse the product evenly throughout the skin and blend it to the skin, and you're left with hardly any on your brush. Whereas your fingers, you're chopping through a lot of your product, so you're going to need to be replacing your product a lot more than you should be. So this is a great way to save on costs basically as well. So now I've got my BB cream, and today we're using BB9. So you need the smallest amount of this. Again, I'm using my foundation brush, and I'm going to use the back of my hand again. And you're just going to get half a little pea size amount. So you can see that little amount on the back of my hand there. Now you're always better to get less out of your tube because we can't go putting it back in there. So always push out less. You can always go back for more, but you can't put it back in there. So we're just going to use a little bit, and less is best with this product. It goes a long way. And we're just going to pop it on the tip of our brush, and I'm going to apply it all over the face evenly first. So you see this one's a thicker consistency. So it's just giving a bit more barrier support to the skin. And also hydrating, nourishing. It's beautiful. This is my favourite foundation, the BB cream, and because it gives that lovely coverage as well. Right over the eye area as well, especially those dark circles that we get. It's good to go under there. And a lot of you will be thinking, why hasn't she done her concealing first as well? Because I don't tend to do my concealing first unless I have a big area to conceal or I have a lot of high redness to conceal. Because basically what you're doing is you're just going to move that around anyway where the spots are that you're wanting to cover. You're not actually going to get that coverage there, you're just going to move it away. So I like to put the foundation on first and then see where do we need a little bit more coverage. So that's when I'll come in with maybe dusting a little bit more powder, or I will use one of our concealers just to dab on, rather than trying to put our concealer on and wasting a lot of product just moving it around and still having to go back and conceal. But if I was doing a lot of high colour, or I was trying to conceal pigmentation, then I would look at things like my corrective colours or doing my concealing first. So just keep blending through. You can also use a flocked sponge for these. They come in a big sponge. We've cut these ones in half. That's a fantastic thing to do at home. And then pop one under your cupboard. And just blend, blend, blend. Making sure you're coming right down to that neck area as well, because our neck is always sheltered from the sun. So it's always going to be a shade lighter than what our face is. So we don't want a cut-off line. So coming under that neck area, especially the jawline. And that's a lovely coverage as it is just with the BB cream. If you want more coverage with the BB cream, you'll just go back, get a little bit more and apply a little bit more. But today I think that's a lovely base, and we've got that dewiness coming through, which is great. But the way that I'm going to settle that, because we do have a little bit more oil flow throughout the day, is I'm actually going to dust a little bit of powder, and that's going to give us a really nice coverage. Keep your makeup there throughout the day without having to touch up, which is fantastic. And you're building on that base and that coverage. Now what we're going to do is we're going to apply a little bit of pressed powder. So this is going to help to just build on the coverage that we've just done, help with any oil absorbing throughout the day as well. So we're just going to basically swirl, get a tiny bit on our brush, and you can see all those minerals just sitting on the tips of the hairs of the brush as well. So it's going to be dispersing that to the skin. So a lot of people will say, well, why do I need to be using your brushes? And that's why the way that they've been made is to actually disperse those minerals to the skin. The bristles have been made to hold the finer little minerals that they are and disperse those minerals, whereas a lot of cheaper brushes, synthetic brushes, what you'll find is it will actually get all of your minerals down in here, and it won't actually be dispersing those minerals to the skin. So that's why it's really good to use the Jane Iredale brushes. So we're just going to apply a little bit of that. And I always dab it off on my hand first, because what you'll find is if you've just swirled around, of course all those minerals are going to be sitting right on those tips. So the first place that you apply that makeup is where all that makeup's going to go. So what we want to do, dab off any excess and then just come through the skin where you want that extra coverage basically. And I'm using the handy brush for this one. This one you'll find, compared to the powder foundation brush that we use for the loose, the bristles again are a lot more compacted together, so you pick up a lot more, and again you have a lot more control. So just where you need a little bit more coverage. And right down that neck area. I also usually go over the lips as well, because I find this adds a beautiful base for my lipsticks, and it also just takes the pigment out of the lips, so that when you choose your lip colour, it's actually true to the lip colour that you choose. Because a lot of people's skin, they'll find their acidity will throw off different colours with the lipsticks, and it won't show true to what it actually is. So it's good to always powder the lips first too. And I always hydrate them first with a little bit of our Jane Iredale lip drink, which is beautiful. So hydrate the lips first before you pop that powder on there. So we've got a lovely coverage with Elizabeth today using our pressed powder and our BB cream. What we want to do to still get that the dewiness coming through there, but because we have that oil flow, we still want to settle those minerals. So your minerals will settle throughout the day as your natural oils come through, but to settle them straight away and to get that nice dewy look and bring humectants through the skin throughout the day, what I'm actually going to use is I'm going to use a little bit of balance mist. Now we have 3 different mists in this range. I'll just get those. So we have 3 balance mists in this range, D2O's hydration sprays. So basically what we have is we have our pommy mist. So this one has our pomegranate extract in it. It's a high antioxidant, draws moisture throughout this day as well, and it's really anti-aging. It's beautiful. So that's a nice one to keep in the handbag, keep spritzing. Definitely when we're in our air cons all day, it's constantly quite tightening on the skin. And they are dehydrating our skin, so to be able to refresh our skin and hydrate throughout the day is fantastic as well. So pommy mist is one of my favourites. You also have your D2O hydration spray in there as well. So this one again draws that moisture to the skin. It's more about settling the makeup, giving more of a dewier feel, and drawing moisture and humectants to the skin throughout the day. So this one's beautiful as well. All the fragrances that you'll smell in here, they're all natural as well. There's no artificial fragrance in the product, and that's really good as well. We don't want any of that in there. Basically how I think of it is you wouldn't get your perfume bottle and spray your perfume on your face, so you wouldn't want it in your product. Because your artificial fragrance is your number one sensitizer to the skin, and it also sensitizes you to the light as well, and the sunlight. So you'll find if you've got artificial fragrance in your product and you're trying to treat pigmentation, you're not going to get anywhere, because you constantly got that sun beating on you because of that artificial fragrance in your product. And another thing to think about as well that a lot of ladies do is spraying perfume on the neck. Now if you've ever seen the pickled look through here, or your pigmentation through the side here, that's from our lovely perfume sprays. So be very careful that you're not spraying your perfume on your neck, and if you want a little bit of smell on your neck, D2O spray. Lovely. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use my Balance hydration spray. So this one helps for oil absorbing. It's got a little bit of your grapefruit extract in there, so it's actually really refreshing, kind of zesty as well, and it also helps to control and regulate those oils in the skin. So that's what we're going to use on Elizabeth. So, a few sprays on the skin. And that's another great one to keep in the handbag.
Lovely.
And then we're going to get our brush that we just used and we're going to press that into the skin. So we've got that lovely hydration there throughout the day. And that is how to achieve the perfect foundation base. Thank you, Elizabeth, for being my model.